Okay, so let's go to Mark Sokol now. Mark, let me go put you on speaker view.
Okay. Okay, so this past 2 weeks, we've had a couple interesting things happen here at the lab, and also in some Zoom conversations since then. We've taken a bout face on the Alexey Cherkov device because we got a Russian translator on the phone and actually went over one of his videos where he describes the device and how he got to it. And it was a very interesting call. Jeremiah was there, and me and Pablo. And the translator had no clue what she was talking about, like just spurting out all these words. And me and Jeremiah were getting super excited because everything that was being translated was literally like, oh, that's Banduric's device mixed with, oh my God, that's, that device. It's like mixing all these devices together. So there is a possibility that it's working. Also, Tim Ventura, you contacted Alexey, and he told you that he was having trouble tuning it. Now, the reason why he was having trouble tuning it, what he was tuning is trying to use a Tesla coil to attach to the center plate, which is supposed to act as a, it was supposed to shake up the space-time around the craft and allow the DC fields that are on either side to disconnect from each other and create thrust. And he was having trouble getting the Tesla coil to work with that, with that, basically with having a connection, another part to the Tesla coil, which changes its parameters. That's the problem he was having with the Tesla coil. So we're taking a second look at that. We also have a guy that reached out to us, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Charles Crawford, who is a PhD from Texas who was working on that similar device. So we're taking a whole new look on it and seeing what we can manufacture both here in Hawthorne. And I know Jeremiah is planning some experiments in that arena. As far as the Alzaphon experiment goes, I keep giving you guys updates. More problems. We're having trouble building the waveguide part. The previous design it's not stable enough, and also having plastic inside is going to interfere with the microwaves. And so basically we need better tooling in order to create the parts that we need. And we've been working with a machine shop next door, but they don't have the CNC tooling capabilities. So we're looking to get a new CNC mill for the lab. I might be flying out to Colorado this week to go look at one. But in the meantime, I have back here, I was just playing with this miter, so I converted to cut metal. That would be like a makeshift fix for now, but we definitely need a proper milling machine here at the lab, especially moving forward. If we're going to be rapid prototyping, different experiments, we need to have that capability on hand to continue with the experiments. And that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you, Mark. Now, if I could jump in really quick, and I'm wondering, I don't know if you'd be open to bringing up Alexey's videos, one of his videos, or not. Yeah,
let me see if I can pull it up on another screen.
Yeah, and if you can't, that's no big deal. Just so that everybody knows kind of what you're talking about.
It's called the Graviflyer device. Okay,
and you just to reiterate what you said, you were against this because you told me that it
sounded fake. It sounded like he didn't know what he was talking about. And but then when we got his this Russian translator on, it suddenly started to make a lot more sense. Also, when you contact him via email, he goes and plays with Google Translate, which is horrible at translating. Imagine if our entire conference was translated into Russian. Do you think any Russian scientist would understand it? I mean, it's hard enough
ask them to use DeepL. DeepL.com, it's much better and advanced than Google Translate.
I most of the words
with Russian a lot, and it works with DeepL.com.
I mean, most of the words we're using, we kind of made up a couple months ago. So like, there's also that problem as well. But here, I'm going to share the screen. Let's see.
Yeah, and if possible, keep the volume off with because I've noticed that when we do volume on these, we get copyright issues.
Доброго всем времени суток. С вами канал технологии из гаража. Я Алексей. Сегодня делаю повторную съемку
I originally thought this was just a fraud, you know, that nothing, that he was holding it up by a string.
И тут решил забанить. Ну, это, конечно, жаловались не пользователи, а нефтяные компании, которым что-то не понравилось. И сегодня я решил повторно сделать
It's rare to actually see his entire equipment set up.
и объяснить некоторые нюансы, которые критиковали в прошлых роликах.
Looks like this video is taken from a cell phone.
Хочу объяснить сразу.
Now, I would love to hear Jeremiah's thoughts on this also. I know he's on the call. I'm not sure if he's actively listening in.
Мы рассмотрим, идет качер и коробка с ТДКСником высоковольтная.
I don't know if anyone understands what he's saying, but just look at the electronics and how it's set up. From whatever we can see, it's powered all by that lead acid battery. And his main problem is the Tesla coil. He has a wire going next to the ground, problem A, and it goes up to this massive plate over there, which has its own, you know, permittivity, permeability, capacitance issues. So, and he plays with the duty cycle in order to get it in tune. Just pretty much the only control he has on it.
Второй момент, который у меня просили, это помахать палкой, да, сверху.
Yeah, now if I understand correctly, the reason he's doing these outside was because they had criticisms that he had stuff buried in the floor, or he was using wires, and so he's taking these outside as an attempt to demonstrate that it's for real, I guess.
Let me just go back over here and explain to you what we're looking at. Over here, there's supposedly some transducer that's up in the kilohertz. This is sound, so it's ultrasound. It's in it's supposed to be in tune with the Tesla coil's pulses. So Tesla coils are usually around 100 kilohertz. So that's what you expect the transducer to be vibrating out. This is a aluminum anodized plate that's spinning around. And on the bottom layer, there's another aluminum plate spinning, counter-rotating with magnets on it, all same polarity spinning. He found that originally he had magnets on both sides, but then he found that the force was coming from the lower magnets, not from the top magnets. Also, it's important that the bottom spinning plate be charged negative and the top one be charged positive. So you got AC in the middle, positive on top, negative on the bottom with spinning magnets, plus a transducer that's in tune with the AC coming out from the center plate.
Now, Mark, if I could ask, did your translator find anything on how this design came to him, I guess?
There it is flying. He explains in one of his videos that it was a combination of a whole bunch of different theories.
Сейчас вы видите, я покажу кое-что. Смотрите, диски идут. Видите, 3 провода идут высоковольтные от качера и питание диска. Сейчас я вам покажу, что ничего нет.
Somebody mentioned earlier that he's speaking with a Russian, with an accent from like a Kazakh accent. So I don't know. He's trying to show that there's no wires or anything there. In other videos, he waves poles on top of it. Oh, there he goes with the stick.
Now, this is electrically charged, right?
Yeah, there's high voltage DC on the plates with negative on the bottom, positive on the top. And then there's AC from a Tesla coil on the center plate, which is like acts as a disruptor, he explained. And that's something that that Israeli guy mentioned earlier, that you can disrupt the...
Well, because he's touching it, right? You think that
plates perfectly flat, or they have stuff on the surface?
Oh, they have it's like a crinkly surface. You saw that earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's touching it, if it's high voltage, and maybe it's well
unless maybe, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Unless maybe it's only components in it.
Or maybe he's grounded.
I mean, the real question is, how does that thing work?
произойдет, у меня в полном объеме не получился, но посадку сейчас увидите. Для этого достаточно
Now it's going pretty high.
Higher than trees.
прямо с аккумулятора
Yeah.
снимаю,
I mean,
So
I-
you see his helicopter?
питание отдельно на катер, отдельно
it
на...
kind of reminds me of the lifters a little bit. There's nothing about it that screams fake to me. You
Oh,
know,
he just unplugged it? Did he just unplug it?
maybe.
Oh, it looks like it's coming down. Looks like-
А мне упало.
1 second. Did he unplug it now?
Maybe
So,
just
so where's the magnet on the bottom?
It's, oh,
There you
there
go.
it goes. It just fell down. I think he disconnected the power or he disconnected it earlier.
so maybe there's a lag time for the field.
Oh,
to
yeah,
dis-
that's interesting. It's got some kind of hysteresis in it.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it does, it kind of reminds me of the lifters. It does, it's one of those things that in some ways it looks a little fake, but I could see how it could be real, but I don't know. I don't know if my opinion is worth much there. It's just from experience, you know?
what you said.
I mean,
is
in
a big-
I originally always thought this was fake because it just looked too good to be true. In some other videos, he goes, this is the video that we had translated, and he goes in very deep on different people who've had flying devices. He talks about Searle a little bit. Where's the device? Okay, so basically he's talking about different modes of flight over here. And I have somebody who's working on the translation. Oh, we got Hutchinson in as well, of course. Here is his schematic of how it actually works, how he built it. I turn on the audio, you can hear him talking in Russian, but basically this is the disruptor plate, which disrupts the gravitic or whatever field it's disrupting. This one is charged negatively, DC. This one is charged positive. So this, the top plate is charged positive, bottom plate is charged negative. Up here is a piezoelectric transducer, which acts as the ultrasound, and that is in tune with the output of the Tesla coil. And then there's the motors, and they're counter rotating, and that's the entire device. Some of the components are on board, some of the components are not on board, and there's different reasons for, you know, weight reduction and whatnot. But from our standpoint of known physics, this shouldn't fly because it looked like you had to have at least a kilo of mass there, if not 2 kilos of mass. That thing was yay big. It would have weighed quite a bit, and it was flying higher than the trees. So he also talks about Gravitomagnetic and like some of these other far out anti-gravity researchers, which I've always thrown in the debunked bin, but to be honest, we've never really looked at them to fully debunk them.
This one is interesting. It maybe, I don't know. Are you guys considering a replication of this?
Well, Mr. Crawford, who's recently joined the team, he has a PhD, lived down in Texas. He's actually working on a replication already. And he learned quite a few things from this conversation, from the translation. And we're working on translating the entire video, making sure, you know, all the words are correct so we understand exactly what he's talking about. And then we're going to make a copy of the video and just put it in proper subtitles in English so everyone can see what it is he's talking about.
Awesome. Well, let me see. I guess I should ask if anybody has questions for Mark.
Could you put some of these, the video links on the chat?
Oh yeah, I'll do that right now, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah, and it looks like Will has his microphone hot too. Will, did you have a question?
well, actually, that last picture looked like something out of one of the Nazi German books I read decades ago. But I was just wondering, where's the magnets? You said there's some permanent magnets somewhere.
Oh, the permanent magnets are on the lower disc, and I'm not sure if he talked about the polarity, but all the polarities are facing the same way.
rectangle things in the picture?
One second, let me share a screen again and I'll pull it up. It's in the diagram that I was showing you a second ago. Okay. Here we're sharing screen. Now let's go to this video. I think the diagram's toward the end. Right there, these little rectangles, these are the magnets
I see.
and they're
And-
spinning around. So
So are they all the way around the disk or?
yeah, they're all the way around the disk. Yeah. And they're all with the same polarity. So it's not changing polarity, it's all the same, spinning around the disk.
And they're stuck onto the disk, I guess.
Yeah, they're screwed on. It's basically ring magnets that have like the little hole for, putting nuts and bolts in. And all of this is made out of, with basic parts that you'd find in a hardware store, except for the Tesla coil and some of the electronics, but it's pretty basic stuff. It's just a weird combination.
So is it aluminum or steel or what?
I think it's mostly aluminum. He does say one thing is proprietary, which is the metal, but you're applying high voltages and spinning them around. I would assume it has something to do with Banduric's device. So I would just go with whatever dot product disk Jeremiah comes up with for making that coating.
So is the disc that have a coating on it of any sort, or is it just a bare aluminum disc?
It has a coating. It seems to be galvanized or something like that.
It looks like it's galvanized. That's why.
Yeah, it looks like it's there's like sort of waves in it.
That could, it almost looks like it's been hammered, right?
So you said some material they're using is proprietary. Where was that material located?
I think it was on the bottom plate. This one right over here, the negative plate.
So it's on the surface, the bottom surface of it.
Yeah, the bottom the bottom or
Had a
top.
coating on it. That was.
He
Some,
didn't say a coating. He said what the metal itself was. He doesn't want to say because he wants something to patent.
okay.
So he claimed.
So how is the acoustics? How is that tuned to the Tesla coil?
Tuning of the Tesla coil.
Because you said that
By changing the voltage. By changing the voltage, the circuit changes its frequency, which is a pretty stupid way to do it. I would try to find some way of connecting directly to the source. You have this high voltage field right there. Why can't you use that to
Voltage control
put a
oscillator.
semiconductor? Or something? Yeah,
That's a piezoelectric, speaker
transducer.
or transducer.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, that's interesting because those patents that the Navy says are real. Actually, they use piezoelectric on the superconductors in order to generate their fields. If you actually read them, you'd find out that that's what they do.
Yeah, they're creating
So
an
that's very
oscillator.
interesting.
They're using it as an oscillator, basically.
Yeah, but it's actually somehow applied directly to the superconductors as a coating.
My question for him, if I could ever get him on the phone with a translator, is how in the world is he able to make this stuff, for so many years and like nobody's ever, taken it to the next level or done anything with it? How is it that he's still working in his garage?
That's a good question. But anyway, the circuit is obviously just general transistors, fairly straightforward stuff electrically.
It's very, very straightforward stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the other thing, can you go back to the surface of that? Show the surface again.
Oh, that was in a different video. Let me share screen again. I'll go back there. That was in the first video that I showed.
Mhm.
Here he gets a close up on it, I think. All right. Oh, there we go. there's the close-up.
Yeah, now if you, it's interesting about the surface because back in the 90s, after the fall of the USSR, the Russians had a technology that we were interested in. And they brought the Russians to the States, and they rebuilt the device in the US. And the Russians were complaining because the way the Americans built it, they said, "Oh, it'll never work." And it didn't work. So finally, the Americans got frustrated. So they said, okay, just do what you want to do and make it work, after months of trying to get it to work. And what the Russians did is they took a very beautiful antenna that the Americans made, and they started hitting it with hammers. And looked like they were smashing up the antenna, which was like I don't know, a couple $100,000 antenna, I suppose. And so then the Americans were like screaming, going crazy on it. And they said, and then they flipped the switch and it worked. So just an interesting lesson from the Russians.
Well, and it did look like that big plate has some modeling on it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It definitely looks cobbled together. I mean, it looks like somebody kind of built this in their garage and didn't have a lot to work with, but.
I mean, it's amazing. If something like this really works, then yeah. I mean, we've been barking up the wrong tree for quite a while.
Well, my thought was we've been over engineering, if that works.
That works. We've been over engineering. Yeah, but
true to its word. GoodRx was true to its word. I didn't realize you
Where's
have
that
to
go?
have a
Oh,
prescription.
Michael Boyd, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, some noise going on in the background, but
okay, yeah.
Yeah, we discounted it as fake for quite a while, and every time we talked to Tim, you spoke to Alexey a couple of times. How did that go?
Yeah, well, when I spoke to him, he almost redirected me. So the first time, this was probably about a year and a half ago now, I asked him if he would want to sell a complete one. I put the video up on American Anti-Gravity and is busy with work and stuff like that. And I said, look, would you like to sell me a complete one? I won't steal your idea. I'll give you full credit. I'd just like to confirm whether or not it works. At the time, he'd said he would for about 2,000 euros, but then he promised me that it absolutely would not work without his proprietary know-how, this, that, the other thing. So I was kind of like, okay, you know what? Nah, that's. So that was the first time. And then I think the second time you wrote to him, right? This is last October, November, and he wrote you back, if I remember right, and didn't he point you towards Podklanov and some of the others?
I don't think it was me that wrote to him. I think it was you or Wayne. It might have been Wayne.
It might have been Wayne. I think it was Wayne. Yeah. But that was his second response. And my thought was, the impression that I get is that he's kind of redirecting people away from himself. And that's what led me to believe that it was, a scam. So, I mean, I don't know. I've seen enough weird videos like that. I don't see anything in this one that outright screams scam, but at the same time, it's very hard to believe that device would work, to be honest.
Hey, Mark, do you have
Yeah.
like a contact email or something for him? I'd be happy to try. I have some friends in Russia, so that are in science.
I would I'm gonna go look for it right now, see if I can find that email that Tim was talking about. But I would definitely recommend that any email you send him should be in Russian, because it seems like he's just putting your question into Google Translate, and there's a lot lost in translation.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I don't think he speaks any English.
So that's why I would talk to my friend who speaks Russian first.
Ed Becknell asked, are those neodymium ring magnets or I think that's a fair question since there's many kinds of magnets today.
I don't know. I'm not even sure if he mentioned it. Again, I'm working off of information. We had our minds blown. It was like a 3-hour conversation when we were translating that one video. And there was a lot of details that we might have lost. And we're working on a hard translation right now, written translation. We'll put it onto the video as soon as that's complete. It's about halfway done right now. Ron, you had a question? You got on mute.
Oh, Mark, are you familiar? There is an inventor. His name is Robert Neil Boyd. Robert Neil Boyd has some kind of, I'll use the word, patent propulsion device. He has a series, about 3 of them. They involve a computer hard disk drive. Have you ever seen them?
I don't think
I'll
so.
send them to you. His name is Robert Neil Boyd. There's no relation probably to Michael E. Boyd, because I got them confused. But Robert Neil Boyd is in Sokol, California, and it's some kind of anti-gravity device based upon pits in a hard drive. I'll mail it to all of you. And when you see the pitting, I have no idea how you can get propulsion, but he has patents. The value of his patents, some run 30 pages. They're just huge patents, and I can't make sense out of them. But when you look at the Chekurkov device and pitting, I go, there is some sort of synergy. I've no idea. I'll just send it to people. I have no idea. But he's had, over the past 10 years, he probably had 3 or 4 patents, and the patents each, if they're prepared by an attorney, are probably each 50 grand.
Well, this sounds like somebody that we should probably have on the conference.
Yeah. But no, if somebody can pull up Robert Neil Boyd, inventor.
No, Ron, I'm teasing you. Actually, I know who Robert Neil Boyd is. You're mixing up the inventions, though. You have the right person, but so it's actually Michael Boyd who's.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Because what happened is, that's what I thought. Because I'm saying, why is there the mix-up?
Yeah, well, it could be. Ron could be messing with me, and I'm easy to mess with, so I fall for stuff like this. But
okay, because I talked to him last time. I thought, well, his name is Michael E. Boyd, and I knew about the hard drives, and then I see this, and
Robert, I believe, yeah, and there is a fellow named Robert Neil Boyd who does, and if I remember right, he's doing TT Brown work. If I remember, I think I met him at Tesla Tech a few years ago.
And now I'm thoroughly confused. If people want to email and straighten me out, I have no idea where I am. But all I know, I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm saying this pitted hard drive looks like the Chekurkov pitted disk. So, anyways, I'm totally.
I think it's the same concept.
Oh, is it?
When I look at that disk, that experiment you were showing, that's why I was curious about the surface, and I'm also curious how far apart the disks were from each other.
And why? I mean, there's some interesting questions, like why do they need to counter rotate? Now, maybe the counter rotation is, well, no, that wouldn't even work. I was going to say maybe that's a mechanical thing, so the device doesn't spin right while he's testing it. But one has magnets and one doesn't, so that wouldn't even fix that.
What I was thinking is the reason you would counter rotate is you're trying to change the phase angle between the magnetic field and the gravitational field, because there's like in the EM field, the magnetic field is 90 degrees out of phase from the electric field. Well, so when I was developing this, I had to adjust the bias on this GMR sensor. And what I had to do is when I adjust the bias to this magnetoresistor, it just adjusts the phase angle. And for some reason, this gravitomagnetism signal showed up when the phase angle was 45 degrees. So not 90 degrees, but 45 degrees. And that could explain a lag. So if you think about a 45-degree sine wave and the location of how that would explain why the gravitational field is so weak the farther you get away. You follow? So it's like, depends on where you are on the sine wave. At 45 degrees, it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot weaker. So if you can adjust that phase angle, that's what controls this gravitomagnetic field, it seems like. So, and that might explain why he's got one disc spinning one way and the other spinning the other, is because it's taking reference to the gravitational field. It's trying to go like this. You follow? And then when it's at 45 degrees, that's when you get your lift.
It could be.
Just an idea.
No, it's interesting. And then I wonder how it came into his head also, but I'm sorry, Ron, go
Yeah,
ahead, sir.
one question. I see a lot of UFOs flying at 45-degree angles. You ever see those films? There's a lot of still photos of UFOs hanging at 45 degrees. Does that mean anything or not?
Maybe it's because of the, like I said, the phase angle difference between the gravitational field and the electromagnetic field. Obviously, the Earth has an electromagnetic field, a big one.
Yeah. Well, Mark, did you have anything else, sir? Or should we go to kind of
Yes.
an open discussion now? Oh,